Well, what's up, everybody? Hope you guys all have had a fantastic summer and are doing great. Football season is back, guys. We are back. College football unofficially started this past week with Kansas State, Iowa State, Hawaii versus Stanford, and a bunch of other great games. But now the real deal begins this upcoming week. And then we got the NFL following pretty shortly in a couple of weeks as well, man. I can't wait, man. This is such a great time of the year. I know we always look forward to it, and it's always a great time. And Ben, well, we survived the long summer, man, and now the fall is here, and football, this right here, is finally here, man. Thank you for joining me here on this special. How are you doing tonight, my friend?
Isaiah, I know everybody loves summer, including myself, but I am ready for summer to end. And I'm gonna enjoy it. Obviously, this upcoming weekend is my vacation. From work. So I'm going to enjoy it to my best of my availability. Maybe go out to the beach. Maybe just kind of do a last thing. Before summer kicks and a lot of other stuff, work and other stuff is going to start to be more of my focus. And yeah, football is next week in terms of the NFL, next Thursday, which is absolutely incredible. So get your fantasy drafts going. This is a big week for it. And yeah, I mean, there's obviously we're going to get into the AFC East tonight. But of course, guys like Terry McLaurin, guys like Trey Hendrickson, they got their big extensions. There's a lot of stuff that's going to be going on throughout this week. I know obviously there's no preseason football, but there's going to be a lot of NFL chatter because it's obviously the week before the season. So obviously, stay in tune. And if there's obviously any big time news, we'll also make sure to get it for you guys as well too. So yeah, I'm really excited because this is obviously a four team thing, and my team is in there. So I'm very excited to talk about some football.
Ah, man, definitely. Well said there. We had a great run with our six divisions and 6 days preview specials before the baseball season. So now we're gonna do it our football edition with 8 divisions in 8 days. So, like Ben said, we're starting with the AFC East. It's gonna be a fun division because you got the Patriots and the Jets up top here, with two iconic players coming back home to be their head coaches. They both got a fresh start. Then you got the Dolphins, you got the Bills as well, the two teams that have been running this division in the past couple of seasons. So yeah, it's gonna be an exciting division. Can't wait to preview it. Before we get into the preview, though, if you guys like what you guys are seeing, go ahead and give this video a thumbs up. Yeah, and then also you guys can like and subscribe and follow our MI6 Sports Network on YouTube, Facebook, Instagram, you name it, Twitter as well. And you can also give myself and Ben a follow on X and all over social media as well. And also comment down below. We'll read your comments live on the air, and also we'll read your picks live on the air as well. But Ben, let's get into it, man. Your division, and that's why for you, I had to wear this jersey because this is your team, and since we're doing your division, I felt like it was appropriate. But sadly, it was also appropriate because if you look at the back of the jersey, it's a Bailey Zappi jersey, and he got cut a couple hours ago. So I guess that doesn't make it good. But yeah, just let's get into the AFC East. We'll do the AFC East tonight. But we got the Patriots, the Jets, two franchises that have just fallen on tough times. But they've got some young, exciting pieces there. They have the Patriots, with Mike Vrabel coming in to lead the franchise. You got the Jets with Aaron Glenn coming in to lead the franchise. You got the Bills and the Dolphins, the two teams that have been just dominating this division. If you look at this division, right? The Patriots, like I said, they got Vrabel, they hired Vrabel, they fired Jerod Mayo after a disastrous one year tenure as a head coach there. The Jets fired Robert Saleh midseason. They ended the Aaron Rodgers experiment after it was a disastrous experiment to say the least. They have a new GM in Daryl Muji, I think that's his name, and then also Aaron Glenn, who they hired from the Detroit Lions. They brought in Justin Fields as their quarterback. They also brought in a number of pieces, including Mason Taylor from the NFL draft, former tight end, tight end from the LSU Tigers, who is the son of Jason Taylor, the Hall of Famer. The Bills didn't really do a whole lot this offseason. I think they lost Von Miller. Amari Cooper is gone from that team, but they still have Josh Allen, the MVP candidate, and then the Dolphins. You got Tua Tagovailoa there. They traded away Jalen Ramsey, so it's a team that's kind of contending, but also kind of in flux as well. But Ben, I'll give you the floor on this first, since you're the AFC East expert, and I'll give you the floor to give us like a AFC East, like a preview of the division, and give us a prediction on like who do you think is going to win it, and how do you think the other remaining three teams are going to stack up moving forward.
Okay, so when I look at this overall division, I think that I really think. I mean, I'm a Patriots fan. I think pretty much most of this network, and there's many other networks. No, the Patriots obviously ever since Brady and Belichick left, they've been kind of more in the last to second to last place to last place. Have been kind of just on a rebuild, and teams like Buffalo and Miami have kind of really kind of taken that reign of the division for the last couple of years. Now, I do think that the Patriots are going to kind of be back on top, at least in that top range. So I'm going to start with my team, the Patriots. Like you mentioned, Isaiah, they just brought in Mike Vrabel in this offseason as their new head coach. This is now the second year of Drake May, so hopefully that should be very exciting. We brought back Josh McDaniels, a former OC, and I think that, with Drake and Josh, I think that it's going to really help Drake's development, for him to try to get to that next level. And, of course, you add a number one receiver and Stephon Diggs, at least a guy that could be a number one receiver, Stephon Diggs, at least has shown in the past, of course. The biggest worrisome, of course, is injuries, but he's been practicing a lot, and he is really, I think, going to do a good job for Drake May, like he did with Josh Allen over in Buffalo, when Josh Allen was trying to kind of get to that next leap, in Buffalo. So I do think offensively they're going to be much better. I think Trevion Henderson, my boy, I'm an Ohio State fan also. This guy is going to bring a massive element to this offense because, yes, Ramondre Stevenson, I think, is a decent running back, but they didn't really also have that secondary running back that can catch in the backfield. Trevion Henderson is going to be that guy. I think that we've kind of seen it. I know preseason, but Trevion Henderson and Ramondre and Antonio Gibson, we got three running backs that could be able to do different things. And I think that could just bring a lot, specifically via in the red zone packages, and of course, just in different short down situations when it's needed. And then defensively, I think this is going to be probably the best defense that the Patriots have had in quite some time. You really add a lot in that front. You add in Milton Williams, who just came over from the Philadelphia Eagles Super Bowl run and had a couple big-time sacks on Patrick Mahomes. If you know, you know. And then, of course, you still have guys like Keon White, who is just going to have another great level. And then Christian Barmore. I'm very happy for Christian Barmore after the stuff that he went through with the blood clots and a lot of different stuff that happened off the field. Christian Barmore, Keon White, and Milton Williams are going to be an absolute force and a problem for many fronts on the other side of things to come. And then, obviously, your secondary, you still have Christian Gonzalez, who's one of the best cornerbacks in the league. You add him now with another cornerback, too, which the Patriots really added, and that is Carlton Davis, who is going to really bring a lot. I know he's obviously an older guy, but he's a veteran. You could obviously make him, play man-to-man coverage. You could play in different type of coverages. And then, you just have guys in the middle. Robert Spillane, I think, was a really good pickup, for the linebacker. So I really think that they just added a lot of type of pieces. And Mike Vrabel is going to be able to kind of focus more defensively. And then you have Josh over with the offense. So it just kind of feels like everything's kind of put back together like it was in, I'm not saying the old Patriots days, but I think it's going to be a lot more competent. And the Patriots have a pretty favorable schedule this year. I mean, it's not all guaranteed type of thing, but I'm looking at the overall schedule, and I think that if they get to a pretty decent start, I look at the Vegas Raiders at home. They got a couple big-time home games to start the season, I think, for the Patriots, but they're home fans. kind of hopeful for this upcoming season. I think that could be a really good thing for this team. You got the Raiders, then you go to Miami, then you have home against the Pittsburgh Steelers, and then home against the Carolina Panthers. I think you can really look at those first 4 games and be like, you have a pretty good chance at least split maybe, if worst, right? So my ceiling for this team is probably 8 to 9 wins. I could probably see them kind of being like this past year's Chargers, a team that's going to be kind of just a competitive type of team every single game. It's not going to wow everybody, but I think it's going to be a group that's going to be developing, and I think that it's going to be a group that should be a lot more exciting to watch in Drake's second year. Now, looking at the other teams around, let's go to the New York Jets. The New York Jets obviously moved on from Aaron Rodgers this offseason. They brought in Justin Fields. And, Fields, I think, just is going to be a different type of guy specifically, right? He is a more of a running type of quarterback. I think a lot of things about Justin Fields, though, is his accuracy. He's had a lot of problems with the accuracy. And also outside of Garrett Wilson, Isaiah, what other receivers can you really rely on for the New York Jets? They got guys like Josh Reynolds. They got guys like Allen Lazard. But there's not really that big-time other threat for Justin Fields. So I do think, I know obviously in the running backs, Braylon Allen and Breece Hall, they have a couple decent running backs, but obviously nothing to kind of wow you per se if you're another team. And then defensively, the defense for the Jets should be okay. I mean, I think, obviously Sauce Gardner, I do think is going to be a lot better for the Jets this year. You obviously have the Williams brothers, Quinion and Quincy. So the defense for the Jets should be good, but it's more about their offense. I really worry about the offense and the patch catchers that they really have outside of Garrett Wilson. And with Justin Fields is if you could be able to protect him inside the pocket because he loves to run the football. If you make him one-dimensional, that's another thing too. Because it's been shown in the past where if you make him become more of a passer, it's going to be, for the Jets, could be a really long season. So I think that's kind of how I look at the Jets right now. They also brought in Aaron Glenn, who's a first-time head coach, and you just kind of don't know how the first-time head coaches are always going to be. I do think that he's coming from a Detroit system where he really helped defensively for the Lions and obviously their rebuild and, of course, getting them back to where they want to be. But you just don't know in terms of how he's going to be as a head coach. Going down to the Miami Dolphins. And the Miami Dolphins obviously have been kind of at the top of the top. But the Miami Dolphins, we have seen, Isaiah, the trend of the Miami Dolphins. They have a very good start and a trend to kind of start the season. People obviously were like, oh, this team is unbeatable, this and that. And then look what happens. Second half of the season, they play a lot of the teams in the cold, a lot of teams, when it gets colder, and the crunch time of things, and that's where they seem to fail. And it's been a constant theme and a cycle for this Miami Dolphins team. Now, obviously, you have another year Mike McDaniel, another year Tua Tagovailoa. The biggest thing about Tua, as I, of course, think we all know, is can he stay a full season healthy, right? Because we just have not seen that with Tua. And I think that, I obviously don't want to rush injuries whatsoever. I really hope that Tua could play a full season because, yes, I mean, taking my hatred with Dolphins aside, Tua is a very good quarterback when he is playing well. He is very accurate, I think, most of the time than not. But, if he has another couple more head injuries, you just don't know about his career. You really don't know because we've obviously seen it now for the last couple of years. And like I said, I hope it doesn't happen whatsoever. You just don't want to wish it. But the offensive line does seem fairly suspect, I think, for Miami. I don't really know much about that group, but I don't think it's great. And I feel like, I don't know, Isaiah, I feel like that defense is okay. But they obviously lost Christian Wilkins. They obviously just kind of have a defense that I think you'll be able to kind of attack. I really do.
They lost Jalen Ramsey, too. Don't forget about that.
Jalen Ramsey, too. Jalen Ramsey obviously is getting older, but he kind of just brings that overall, that intensity and spark when obviously things kind of go south. So, and then obviously to finish it off, I think is the team that's still the team to go after, and that's the Buffalo Bills. Yes, I do think that we have a chance to maybe potentially win the division this year, but I think that when you have the best quarterback on the Buffalo Bills and in the division and potentially in the NFL, and that is Josh Allen. Josh Allen obviously is just every single season. Of course, the biggest thing about Josh Allen that he has not gotten yet is two things: been able to really beat Patrick Mahomes when it's had to be done in the playoffs, and then, of course, going to the Super Bowl and trying to get the Buffalo Bills that reign. But I can guarantee you this. For Buffalo Bill fans out there, you guys have a flat-out stud, right? I don't like the Bills. I mean, I'm not crazy against them, but I can take my bias aside. Josh Allen is a damn good quarterback, and I hate that we have to face him twice a year. But man, he is so fun to play and so fun to watch when we don't have to face this team. Um, and obviously the receiving, like Isaiah, of course they don't have Diggs, they don't have Cooper anymore, so they're kind of more on a younger group receiving wise. They got Khalil Shakir, who I think was their number 3, number 4 receiver a couple years ago. He's really blossomed into like their number 2 from last year. And he's gonna be able to take another role, I think, this year. They still, I believe, have Curtis Samuel. They got Joshua Palmer, who I think is a pretty good deep threat for Josh Allen, because obviously Allen loves to throw the deep ball. And you have one of the best underrated running backs, personally, to me, and that is James Cook. James Cook is a guy where he can catch in the backfield. Of course, right by the red zone, he's a matchup nightmare. And then the Bills have 2 really good tight ends in Dalton Kincaid and Dawson Knox. So I still think that they have a good amount of weapons that it could be a massive issue, because when you have a guy like Josh Allen can run the football, and he obviously can sling it. And he is a problem no matter where he is. I mean, he is a guy where, it could be right by the end of you out of bounds. It could just flick it up 40 yards and the play could still keep going. So, this guy, even when Bill Belichick was around, he would always call Josh Allen a problem. And he just feels like he's continuously getting better every single year. And it's so cool to watch. I mean, of course, it's not fun as a Patriot fan, like I said. But Josh Allen and the Bills are definitely going to be like James Cook. But but yeah, I think in terms of you're asking me about the division, in terms of kind of where these teams stand. If you ask me right now, I'm going to say, I mean, do you want to have records? I obviously can give you the records now if you want me to.
Records if you want, yeah.
Okay.
Do that.
So I haven't really seen the Bills' schedule, but if you obviously, if I put a gun to my head right now in terms of like the overall records at this point in time, I'm going to say 13-4 for the Bills. I think that's a pretty like standard overall type of record. I think that McDermott is a decent amount of coach for Allen. Allen, I think, is going to at least win a decent amount of games in division, and I think that he's going to do enough to at least get them 13 wins. For the Patriots, I am going to say 10-7.
Okay.
I think that the schedule is pretty favorable. I think that we're going to be competitive a lot of these games, and I think the defense is going to be able to be better too. So I think that we're going to find a way to get to 10 wins on this season, and I think it's going to be a season that is going to just take another level. And granted, Drake stays healthy, and I mean, of course, a lot of things have to obviously go right, but I think the Patriots are going to be in second place, and I think they're going to take 10 wins on this season. And my third place, I'm going to go with the Miami Dolphins. I think the Miami Dolphins are going to be, oh man, I think they're going to be 9-8. So I think they'll be pretty much right on us for that second place. I just don't know about them in the second half of the seasons. They've been kind of just having that same trend of, the Patriots obviously tend to usually play some really good football in the second half because, of course, the elements, they obviously have been accustomed to that. And I think that if we played them, which I think we played in the last game of the season at New England, there could be maybe some elements into play. And, the Dolphins is just with Tua. I mean, I think if you looked at Tua's record with, frigid conditions, they have not been good at all. And so I think the Dolphins are going to have a good start like they always do. And then like the middle to the back end of the schedule, I think it's going to get harder. And I think it's not going to be into Miami's favor. And then the Jets, yeah, I don't know what to say. I think I'm going to go 6-11 for the Jets. I think the first year head coach really scares me with Aaron Glenn. And if you remember this, Isaiah, they did Robert Saleh a couple years ago. I think personally for the Jets, they need to change that dynamic of a head coach and go to somebody more offensively minded, because they've done it with Jeff Ulbrich. They've done it with Robert Saleh. The defense isn't their issue that it has been the last couple of years. It's been their offense. And it just never seems like they want to get a head coach to try to get this offense going. And so, I mean, coaches are a massive thing. They, of course, are a massive culture thing. And but Justin Fields too, Isaiah. Listen, I like Justin Fields. I'm a Justin, you could say Justin Fields believer, this and that. But at the end of the day, I mean, I think the defenses in this overall division, I mean, the Patriots defense, the Bills defense, um, I just Justin Fields. I don't know really what to say. And then Fields too, runs a lot, which might cause injuries too, which I think really worries me, especially at MetLife where the turf is absolutely horrific. And then of course, then you have to go to Tyrod Taylor and Brady Cook as potential quarterbacks. I mean, yeah, I just the Jets to me are going to be kind of like the Jets of old. I really do. I mean, they think their defense is going to be good, but Isaiah, who are defenses going to have to worry about if they're basically blocking Garrett Wilson? There's not really that other secondary guy that I look at. I mean, remember, they brought in Devontae Adams last year. Of course, they had some guys last year that, with Aaron Rodgers. I mean, yeah, Rodgers obviously just older, but like it's like, all right, you kind of have to like key on these guys. Now you obviously go down, it's a downgrade. No offense to Justin Fields, but you go from Aaron Rodgers to Justin Fields. And I don't know, but yeah, I mean, their lines I think should be good. I think that's not the issue. I think it's the issue of the accuracy with Fields, their first year head coach. They usually more than not just don't work out. I mean, heck, I could be wrong. But yeah, so for me, I'm gonna go with the Bills at 13-4, the Patriots at 10-7, the Dolphins at 9-8, and the Jets at 6-11.
Yeah, man, I think your assessment of the division is extremely good. For me, I think like you're right. I think the Bills, I got them at number one just because they got Josh Allen, the best quarterback in the division. They got their wide receiver weapons don't really stand out, right? Because they don't have like the Tyreek Hill or anybody like that. But Khalil Shakir, he like you said, he came on strong. At the last season, and then Keon Coleman, he's a guy that I feel like is very underrated, and plus they don't even really have to throw the ball a lot when they have James Cook in the
Yeah.
backfield.
Mhm.
To run the football. And he's a guy that you can also like. He doesn't have to just run it. He's a guy that you can throw the ball to, and he will excel at a really exceptional level. And I think they've got one of the brightest young offensive minds in the game, and Joe Brady calling the plays. I mean, this dude engineered that 2019 LSU national championship with Joe Burrow, and that was a historic run for them. I think that with the Bills, their offense is going to be great. What
Mhm.
worries me though about the Bills, Ben, is the defense because like when you look at that defense, it's a bunch of older players. The defense hasn't been great in their entire course of Sean McDermott's tenure there as the head coach. I know they have, they brought in Joey Bosa, which is great, but can Joey Bosa
You
stay on
can't
the
bank on
field?
Joey Bosa. You
You
just
can't
can't.
bank on yeah, you can't
Mhm.
bank on Joey Bosa. That's the thing, and like I just don't like you talk about like the Jets and their lack of number one receiver. For me, it's like with the Bills defense is who on the Bills defense do you really besides the two pass rushers, right? Who on the Bills defense do you really trust that can get a big stop for you? I think that has been one of their biggest Achilles
Yeah.
heel, especially in the big games. Like we're talking about like against Mahomes or against Lamar Jackson. Who
Mhm.
who is that guy, that game changer on the defensive side of the ball? And really, they haven't really had one on the defensive side of the ball.
No, I agree with you. I think that if there was an Achilles heel, it's been the Buffalo defense. I think that Josh Allen, I mean, it hasn't been his issue about beating Mahomes. It's been more than not, it's been the defense that has basically let them down, and it's been a lot of times late in games. So, they always ask Josh Allen in like interviews in terms of like, well, how can you beat him? Why is that as it happen? And of course, I know obviously it takes it, the high end road, but it's that defense. And, I agree with you. I think the defense has been fairly acceptable, especially against better offenses. And yeah, can that pass rush? I mean, Joey Bosa, I mean, if you're banking on Joey Bosa, I mean, no offense to Joey Bosa, but Joey Bosa obviously has had some injuries. He's, a
Yep.
couple more years older. Gregory Rousseau, I think, is a pretty good guy to have.
Yep.
Obviously They still, I think, have Ed Oliver. So they have a pretty decent front, but it's more of like their back end that I do worry about.
And you know who they're banking on their back end, right?
Uh, well, they still have Hamlin, Damar Hamlin,
Hamlin,
obviously.
yep. And
Yep.
then they're banking on my boy Taylor Rapp.
They got Rapp. They still have Tre'Davious White also.
I think they cut him, or I think he retired, if I'm not
Okay.
mistaken.
Yeah. So like, yeah, I mean, I could look at the Bills secondary right now because I mean, I'm not gonna lie, I really don't know a lot of their secondary. I mean, oh,
Oh no,
Khalil,
they do have Tre'Davious White, but he got hurt in practice, I think, a couple days ago. We'll see if he's there for opening night.
let's see here. Let me just take a quick look. Oh, Teron Johnson, he's a pretty
Mhm.
good guy. Yep. Obviously Rapp, Hamlin. They also have Cole Bishop, who is their free safety one. Yeah, Travis White is hurt. They also have Christian Benford, another guy
Oh,
too
right.
that's been with them as well too. Dane Jackson. So there's a lot more guys there. Um, but yeah, it's and then I think another year of AJ Epinesa. The
Yeah.
defensive end from Iowa. I think that he's obviously hasn't been what he probably wants to be, but I think that he's going to probably take another level step of this upcoming season. So yeah, I mean, yeah, actually he had 6.5 sacks in 2023 and 6 sacks in 2024. So I mean, the guy is he's a problem, on that edge. So
Yep.
I think the Bills defense should be okay. Um, it's going to come down to their receiving core. I mean, look at their receiving core right now, Isaiah. They have Khalil Shakir, Keon Coleman, Joshua Palmer, Elijah Moore, and Curtis Samuel. Those are their receivers. It's
Yikes.
pretty much a bunch of wide receiver number twos and threes on
Right.
majority of them. And if you did not
And
have
that's
Josh
being kind
Allen,
too. That's being kind to them.
if you didn't have Josh Allen, I guarantee you, I think we have a good chance to win the division. But since you
Right.
have the presence of Josh Allen, just like Patrick Mahomes. It does not really matter what type of guys that you have around because a quarterback like Allen, a quarterback like Lamar, a quarterback like Joe Burrow, the talent is going to be able to hopefully elevate guys specifically, receiving wise specifically. And the Bills, too, have the luxury of having two very good tight ends, and they have a running back that's be able to catch the ball in the backfield and be able to run the football. So they don't really have to need, to be honest, to have those receivers completely change a lot of these games. They just got to be complementary type of guys. And I think that they have those guys that are perfect complementary guys. Guys like Joshua Palmer, guys like Elijah Moore, guys that are not going to completely, cover the spreadsheet per se, but they're going to just do enough to be able to kind of give Josh Allen what he has to do so he could be able to win these games.
Yeah, no, I agree with you. I think like for them, however, though, to take the next step, like we're talking about beating Mahomes and then getting to the Super Bowl and potentially winning it, I think they're gonna eventually have to get that like number one or number two receiver that can separate and really scare the heck out of the defenses. But if in terms of like if we're talking
I
about if
actually got
win,
really
yeah,
quick. We talked about a couple guys. If the New Orleans Saints have a very tough first half, this has been one receiver, this name that's been kind of floated out, and I think that he would be really good to have with Josh Allen. I would hate it, but I think Chris Olave with the Buffalo
oh shoot,
Bills would be a very good receiver to have. He's a speedster. He's a very good route runner. And I think he just needs a change of scenery. I really do. I think that he's over in New Orleans, a place where they don't really have a good situation right now. I'm not a really big believer in that team right now. And Taysom Hill is obviously still there. But like Chris Olave, I think if he can go to a different element, a place that's going to contend like Buffalo, and he could be available at the trade deadline, if the Saints are kind of out of it. Of course, I'm just throwing a hypothetical out there. I think a guy like him would be an absolute perfect guy to have. And I think that, it could really, give the Bills a couple more wins maybe than what they were thinking.
no, I agree with you. I think that like that's what the Bills need. I think to take the next step. But in terms of the entire division, I think the Bills are going to win it. If I had to give like a wins and loss total, I probably will go with the Bills getting. I want to say 12. I'll probably say like 13 and 4. Like you, they have. I looked at their schedule. They got Kansas City at home. They got
Mm,
Baltimore at home, which really helps. Because like playing in Buffalo, that's a really really difficult place to
change.
play.
Yeah,
Yeah, I think the Patriots games are gonna be like games that are very competitive given how New
mm,
England is this year. But going to New England, I completely agree with you. I think the Patriots are gonna take the next step and really surprise a lot of people. I think Drake May is a real deal. Stephon Diggs, I don't know my issue with him is I don't know how he's going to be coming off the ACL because I know receivers take a little bit of time to get back to their regular self. But besides that, I mean, their defense I think will be really good this season. Mike Vrabel, the reason why I like the hire of Vrabel, Ben, is because not only was he a former player that gets the Patriot way and how things are run in New England, but he's a guy that brings grittiness. He's a guy that brings toughness, and he's a guy that brings like a no nonsense approach, which is what I felt like lacked in New England last year. Because I mean, the stories that were coming out of Foxborough with Jerod Mayo, like the quotes that he was giving to the media, like he was playing cards with players on the plane and just kind
yeah.
of acting like one of the players. I like that's not how a head coach is supposed to be. And like now that they're getting back to how it was run somewhat under Belichick, which I think is very good for them. But yeah, like you said, Josh McDaniels coming back is extremely good because you get a guy who's a proven offensive mind to help Drake May and
And
develop Drake May. A guy, yeah,
he knows obviously the playbook already. So it's not like he has to come in and the pressure's already on him because he's going into a place that he has been a offensive coordinator for two guys specifically, obviously with Tom, and honestly the best year of Mac Jones when he was with the
yeah,
Patriots. So yeah, I mean, it's a perfect situation. I really do.
it is. And then you talk about the weapons. I mean, Diggs is going to come back, but you got Hunter Henry, who I think is one of the most underrated tight ends in the NFL. He's really good at catching, and he's also really good in terms of blocking as well. But I just think that having that new coach, like the coach can change a lot of stuff as well and elevate a team. I think that's going to really help. Plus, Drake May, I think will take the next step forward.
Hmm.
I think the defense is going to get a lot better. So I think New England finishes in second place. I think I got the Patriots going. I actually got them. I agree with you, Ben. I think they're going to go 10-7, and I think they're going to make the playoffs. I think they're going to be a wild card team this year. And then you look at the rest of the division. Actually, Ben, this is where we disagree. I think the Jets finish ahead of Miami, and that might be a hot take because
Oh no,
I
listen. I think that though honestly, you can make an argument for the last two spots.
yeah.
I think that both. I mean, the Jets. I just am not a big believer in that team at all. And then Miami. I think that they take a massive aggression.
Oh yeah, totally. Like I think Miami lost so many pieces in free agency. There's already a lot of documentation that a lot of players do not like playing for Mike McDaniel, not
I don't
because
blame them.
yeah, like Mike. The thing with Mike McDaniel is, and I think we were on the air when he was hired, and I think I said this on the air, and that was I don't know if Mike McDaniel is going to be a good head coach, not because I don't think he can coach offense. I think he's a really good schemer of offensive plays and stuff, but I don't know if he's a good leader of men. And that's the problem with Mike McDaniel is the fact that he doesn't really hold players accountable from the stories that have leaked out. He doesn't seem like he's a really good leader of men. He seems like that coach Ben that just stays in his office and just draws up plays and that's it. But there's more to being a head coach
Yeah,
than drawing up plays. So yeah, like I think the players have quit on McDaniels. I'm surprised he didn't get fired last year. Tyreek Hill, he wanted out. Speaking of a receiver that if things go haywire, Ben, that might be on the move, Tyreek Hill. That might be a guy that might be on the move. But
I can
I,
see.
I just think I've never also been a big believer in Tua. I think he's too turnover prone and also the injuries. Like the guy can't stay
Well,
healthy. He's
I will say because I like Tua's game. I think
Mhm.
he's a very good accurate quarterback, but the stats have shown he cannot produce when it matters most, and that is in the big time games, the big time elements. Isaiah, you're talking about, of course, the Dolphins. I'm actually looking at their schedule as we speak right now. Their second half, they have in Pittsburgh in December. Monday Night Football. Then they got the Bengals. I mean, it's at home, but they have the Bengals. Then they got Tampa, and then they got the Patriots. The last four teams that I honestly think are going to be competitive and probably are going to be, the Dolphins can lose to. And then in the front half of their season, their last four games before the bye week against the Falcons, the Ravens, the Bills, and the Commanders. So they got to take on Penix, Lamar Jackson on Thursday Night Football, then Josh Allen, and then Jaden Daniels. So you talk about the Dolphins. I mean, the first couple games, I say, if they don't get to be able to beat these teams, I mean, obviously outside of my Patriots and Bills, they got at the Colts, they have the Jets week 4, they got the Panthers week 5, and they got the Chargers and then Browns. So if they can't take control of that, because I think they could be able to win some of those games. I can't deny on that. But after that, they really, I mean, besides the Saints and the Jets after the bye, their schedule is kind of brutal.
I think that if Miami, Ben, if they don't get out of the first half with a winning record, they're screwed. Like I think McDaniels,
They're
I
fucked.
think Mike, yeah, oh yeah, for sure. I think Mike McDaniels, to James's question, I think Mike McDaniels is going to be the first coach gone. Like I think if they go to the first half, if they end the first half, like let's say 3-5 or 4-4,
Let me see how many games they would have before the bye week. Let's see here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So they have the week 12 bye. So theoretically, if they went 5-7,
yeah, he's gone for sure. Because then you have the rest of the schedule, and it's going to be absolutely hell.
they have to at least be over 500 before the bye week. I mean, it's their only shot, and I don't see that happen.
No, I don't see that either. And I think and about the Jets, I think the Jets, look, I think Aaron Glenn is a good leader, but the problem with a coach like him is he wasn't really that good in Detroit. Like I think that he was kind of overrated. I think his defenses were always what, like number 20th or something like that. They weren't really that good. He's a good
they did
leader.
lose Hutchinson for a lot of season. Yeah. To be frankly fair, so I mean, you could obviously say that he was a bit overrated, but when you lose arguably the best guy on their defense for pretty much half the season, of course the numbers are going to take a dip. But I do agree.
And I think with their quarterback situation, to your point, Justin Fields is I think he's an okay quarterback, but I'm of the mindset in the NFL that you got to be able to throw to win
I think he's more at this point of his career, and this could be more of a hot take. Mm-hmm. I feel like Justin Fields is more of a placeholder quarterback than he is as honestly a long-term starter, because yes, he went to the Bears. That was a bad situation there. Then he went to Pittsburgh. Okay, Pittsburgh, he played several games, but then they moved on for him for Russell Wilson that honestly at this point in time is kind of washed up. I mean, okay. And then you go to the Jets and, I don't want to hear any excuses either that you didn't have anybody else besides Garrett Wilson, because you run the football a lot. And frankly enough, I don't think that I like Justin Fields. I mean, he went to Ohio State, but his accuracy isn't good. It's been shown, and now you're going to have to go to two other places in New England at Buffalo, two places that are very cold, especially on the season. I think we play them. I think in November. I'm pretty sure.
Is that in New England?
Yes, we have the Jets. Actually, this is perfect. We got the Jets Thursday Night Football in mid-November, and then we have them on the second last week of the season in December at the Jets.
Oh, wow.
So I absolutely love that. Now, granted, for us, after the week, you talk about the tough stretch for the Dolphins after the bye. After the bye for us, we have home against Buffalo, then at Baltimore, but then we have the Jets and we have Miami. So essentially, we have 2 games after the bye that are going to be really tough, but I think the next 2 games after that, I think we should be able to win those games. Especially if Miami's not playing for anything, they might sit to it might be just kind of a game where, of course, the games the last games of the season for playoff position. And if there's really nothing to play for,
Yeah.
I could probably see us having a kind of a Joe Milton masterclass. Where you would have our backup. Well, that was Joshua Dobbs, but
Oh, you guys have Joshua Dobbs. That's
we have
right.
Joshua Dobbs as our quarterback too, and I've been hearing a lot of the Boston media right now, people ripping on Joshua Dobbs for the
My
way that he's been
God.
playing the preseason. I mean, granted, let's think about this though. Um, Say if Drake did go down, I don't think that Joshua Dobbs is awful. I really don't. I do think though, if Jameis is out there, I'm going for a chance at Jameis. If Drake somehow wasn't hurt, Jameis could come in. He's been a decent quarterback in the past, or a guy like Andy Dalton, placeholder, and then say, I mean, I know that Kenny Pickett was going to be an interesting guy, but he just went to the Vegas Raiders. I don't know if you heard about that, but O'Connell got hurt in this past game.
Yep.
Then they got to bring a guy come in. And Carson Wentz is now over at the Minnesota Vikings Stevens team. And for the Eagles, they had to have Sam Howell. So it's been the carousel of backup quarterbacks trying to find backup two jobs. But reverting back to this overall thing right now, I agree with you with Mike McDaniel. I think that the leash for the Dolphins this year, there's going to be a lot of stuff with this football team, a lot of turmoil, a lot of controversy. I don't feel the vibe with this year's team. I don't with that team.
Yeah, no, I think that like with the Dolphins, I think they're on the way down. They remind me of like the Niners that last year of Harbaugh, where like the vibes were off. It started training camp, guys were fighting each other, and like the season just never really recovered after the start of the season. So yeah, I think the Dolphins. I think they're gonna finish in last. I think the Jets finish in third, but I think the Jets and the Dolphins honestly will like battle back and forth for that third and the fourth spot. But I got the Bills and the Patriots number 1 and 2 in the division, and I got the Patriots actually making it as a wild card team in this division. But Ben, now we go to like we did for baseball, sleeper teams for this division, and I think for the NFL it's kind of tricky because you got like 4 teams, right? Not like
Yeah.
baseball, you got 5. But for Ben, I think for me, like I think it's simple. I think for me, my sleeper team honestly will be the Patriots, just because like we talked about Drake May, young, exciting quarterback. Vrabel's been there in New England already. He's been an accomplished head coach. He's going to bring the toughness back and the culture back. The defense is going to get a lot better. Like this team last year under Jerod Mayo was awful, and I think they had the number 3 overall pick, I think, or the 4th overall pick. But they only won like 4 games, and I think they're going to take a massive step up and really surprise a lot of people. They're going to be competitive in a lot of games, which last year wasn't the case because they were getting blown out a lot. But they're going to be competitive in a lot of games, and I think that they're going to win a lot of games that they didn't win last year. So for me, it's simple. I'm going to go with the Patriots as my sleeper team. How about you?
I'm rocking with my team, man. I really believe in this team. And you look at them against the Bills even last year, where they were really close to beating them in Buffalo. They actually had a pretty good start to the game, even when the Patriots weren't even good last year. They were able to kind of stay competitive for a lot against a lot of these teams. And I think with the addition of Mike Vrabel, I think he brings that culture change. I think the defense is going to be much better. They added a lot via in the front and in the linebacking room. So I think that the tackling is going to be a lot better. Something they really had a hard time the last couple of years with, it was tackling guys side to side, getting to the quarterback. That I think the vibes are going to really change a lot there. And then the secondary. I mean, you've got one of the best corners right now, Christian Gonzalez, an up-and-coming star. You obviously add him for a cornerback too, which you really didn't have the last couple of years as well. You bring a guy in, a veteran, Carlton Davis, who has really been a good player for the Lions the last couple of years too. And then you add a number 1 guy or wide receiver number 2 guy for Stephon Diggs. And there's a report out potentially, Isaiah, that we could be potentially having a reunite with Jacoby Myers, because Jacoby Myers requested a trade today, and there's a Twitter account that has been reportedly right with some decent sources. Ricky Source Bombs or whatever.
Oh, is it the dog one? That Ricky dog
yeah,
or
I think
whatever?
so.
Yeah. They broke the Brian Robinson news actually before Schefter had it.
He also said that Scary Terry was going to have an extension, even though when the talks weren't going great a couple weeks ago. So I don't know where this guy gets this information from, but a lot of the times it's pretty decently factual. And so he put something out today that I think a lot of people are kind of just taking it. I mean, listen, I'm just taking it for granted for right now. But he said that there potentially is a framework deal of the Patriots sending Kyle Duggar, who Kyle Duggar, of course, is a guy in which his playing time is really diminished. His coverages haven't been as good. It's kind of a guy that really has kind of regressed the last couple of seasons, and the Patriots are reportedly shopping him. So Jacoby Myers, who requested a trade today, the Raiders apparently have no trade inquiries right now, but reunite with Jacoby Myers. Isaiah, I think Jacoby Myers, you bring him into that receiving room for the Pats, and then you would have Stephon Diggs, Jacoby Myers coming back. Especially Myers and Josh McDaniels have obviously that reunitement too. So I think that it makes it even more of an elevated offense with a guy like Drake. And then you have Trevon Henderson in the backfield. I think, like I said, he adds another element with Rondre. You got Antonio Gibson, who I think could be a pretty good guy in the short term. I feel like it's going to be a lot more of a coming together type of group, a lot more dynamic. And so, yeah, I mean, listen, I think that the sleeper team, I think a lot of people are going to look at this team with the Pats, and they're going to be impressive. I really do.
Yeah, for sure. And then you know what? Speaking of the sleeper team, I don't think they're going to be just the sleeper team in the AFC East. I think they're going to be the sleeper team in the NFL. Like that's I think what a lot of people, including myself, have them as that sleeper team in the NFL to surprise a lot of people. But Ben, before we get to the sleeper players segment, let's go into some of our comments because our comment section is blowing up. We really appreciate everybody for tuning into this, the first edition of this 8 divisions and 8 days preview special. Ben, James is asking you, do you think that Stephon Diggs will be a cancer with the Patriots if things don't go well? I think that, well, yeah, he's had like that reputation of being a distraction and a cancer, whether it was in Buffalo or whether it was in Houston and even in Minnesota with how things ended. Do you think he'll be a cancer in New England if things don't go well?
I actually don't, because I think that they have a coach and Mike Vrabel that takes no BS. I think that Sean McDermott, I think, is kind of a laissez-faire type of coach, in which he's kind of like he kind of goes with kind of what happens, and it's kind of what it is. Mike Vrabel is coming in and he wants to win. And Stephon Diggs, another thing too, is he is going to be the guy. So I think there's no pressure of somebody else coming in that receiving room that Drake more than not is going to like focus more on. I mean, maybe Hunter Henry, because of course they obviously had that connection, but I think Stephon Diggs is going to come in to a younger group, a team with a lot of excitement, and I think that Josh McDaniels is also going to be able to run packages for a guy like Stephon Diggs. I think in training camp, there was already a pretty good chemistry with him and Drake, and you saw obviously what happened with Stephon Diggs with Josh Allen. There obviously for the first couple of years, it pretty much wasn't much of a. I mean, if there's anything with this, with the James question, which I think is a really fair question, I don't think it would happen, within the next like couple of years. I think it'd be more the fact is the first couple, I think, is going to be pretty solid, and if they can, stay competitive and win games, I think that Diggs is going to be a good get for us.
All right. Also, James is saying that he has a hot take actually, which is that the Jets will go winless this season.
I mean, listen, I can honestly. I said the Jets would have 6 wins. I wouldn't be shocked if they honestly had like 4. I mean, it really kind of depends because, the backups. I mean, look at the backups right now for all of these teams, Isaiah. The backup for the Bills, right? Mitchell Trubisky. The backup for the Jets, they got Brady Cook and Adrian Martinez and Tyrod Taylor. And then for the Dolphins, if Tua goes down, like I said, I don't want this to happen. I want Tua to stay healthy.
Isn't it Mike White?
No, it's Zach Wilson.
Oh my God.
Zach Wilson. If things go south, he would be their guy, and then it would be Quinn Ewers. And
Oh yeah, yeah.
Quinn Ewers reportedly, and I know granted it was preseason, but it apparently was an extremely rough watch. So hey, maybe Arch Manning time is looking over in Miami right now. If things go down south, we would have to say about that. So yeah, I do think that comment that James made. I mean, I don't think it's pretty much blown out of proportion, but we'll have to find out.
I think like we talked about when we talked about the Jets, the defense is gonna be okay.
I just
But
feel
it's
like their defense is going to get tired. Like I feel
yeah,
like
it's
they're
gonna
going
get
to be on so much because I just don't know. I mean, I feel like the Jets are just going to run the ball so much, and it's you just you can't run all the time offensively. You have to
no.
have a certain time of passing attack, and with the running quarterback, I always worry about that. I mean, their tight ends are what Jeremy Ruckert. I mean, I'm
It's
not.
Jeremy Rutger and Mason Taylor from
Yeah,
LSU.
I think Taylor could be interesting. I think that could be an interesting type of guy. But like, it's a lot of young kids. I mean, Garrett Wilson. I mean, team is just going to bracket Garrett Wilson. Defensively. I mean, Garrett Wilson's obviously going to get his just because he's a great receiver. But like, you typically, I mean, you look at the Bills, right? The Bills obviously their receiving group isn't great, but they got Josh Allen. They got one of the best running backs in the league in James Cook, and they got two of the best tight ends, two of the most underrated tight ends, and Knox and Kincaid. So they obviously still have enough guys there. The Jets, I mean, Brees Hall, and Braylon Allen. Okay,
Yeah, it's an okay
it's
like in terms of
very
running back.
very average. It really
It's
is.
average, yeah. Watch out though for Brees Hall to be traded this season
Yeah.
if things get really haywire for the
There
Jets.
was
But
actually a film clip. I was watching the Jets YouTube clip, after a preseason game, and there was a clip about Brees Hall. So there was like a film on the game against the Packers in which
yeah,
there was a complete open gap, right, for Brees Hall to kind of cut and obviously have a massive run. But instead, he went through. He didn't get to that gap. It basically went just through where the traffic was and had like a 2 yard gain. And I'm just like, oh my God. And apparently, like the coaching staff or whatever wasn't terribly thrilled about that. So yeah, I don't know. I mean, um, I think that the Jets want Brees to do well. I mean, I think he's a good guy for them, but that could be a team that could be an influx pretty quickly. I really do.
no, I can't agree more with that. You talk about also Casey King says good evening guys, and he thinks the Bills will
Good
win this
evening.
AFC East, which I think we all agree on that. Um, Also, James has a question for you, Ben, which is what
Hmm?
numbers do you see Drake May having this season?
Oof. That's a good one. In terms of like passing touchdowns, I gotta remember what he had passing touchdown wise last year in his first year. Um Now I know that he obviously missed a couple games. So last year Drake had 15 touchdown passes and he had 10 interceptions. I think that he's going to be in the 20s this year. I do. I think that, especially too, because he came mid part of the season, if you guys remember, because I think Brissett obviously had the first couple games early on. So now he's going to have a complete full slate. So I think that those numbers just itself right there. I mean, you have a couple games that he didn't start. Number one, he had a couple injuries that he was dealing with, so he obviously had to miss a couple games. You bring in a offensive minded coordinator that has been with the playbook for the last couple guys, and obviously had Mac Jones, who I like Mac, but Mac is now completely he is now going to be a bench scrub. No matter where he goes. I think personally he's not going to be able to really find a place, until he pretty much proves himself.
On my team, Ben. He's on my team. I did watch him in preseason though. He wasn't that bad.
No, I don't think he is a complete scrub, but I just think that he is quarterback one material. I think he's more of kind of a quarterback two material. But heck,
And
he's
you know
probably
what's
going to
crazy?
have.
Ben, you know what's crazy is that like prior to that draft, when it was either him or Trey Lance or Justin Fields for the Niners, I literally went on a rant. I said, absolutely not Mac Jones. If we get Mac Jones on the Niners, like I don't know what I will do, but I can't stomach it. And now, like literally, like 4 years later, he's on my team. Like,
Yeah,
come on,
figures, right?
figures,
um,
yeah.
I'm gonna go to James. I think that touchdown passes. I'm gonna go 25. I think he's gonna have about 10 more touchdown passes this year. I think he's gonna have a full on season. And he didn't have multiple touchdown passing games. I think that changes this year. I really do. I think that he just that dynamic of the offense, and he's gonna be able to have a couple more rushing touchdowns. And I think that this, like I said, the schedule is a lot more favorable. I think he really is going to blossom. I really do. I think that I'm not saying he's going to have the Jaden Daniels type of year, but I really could definitely see that happen this year with Drake.
Yeah, no, I think he's in the 20s, cuts down the interception rate or yeah, the interceptions down, and then I think he probably has a lot more passing yards just because if you look at Josh McDaniels' system, it's a lot of passing. It's very
Ding and
passing
dong.
oriented. Yeah, yeah. So um yeah, to James's question, I think he's probably going to be I'll say mid 20s and like maybe like 7 picks if I had to go like gun to my head, had to give some numbers.
Yeah, I
Um,
think that's really fair.
yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. And then James is also asking us, do we think that this is Tua's
Oh,
last season with Miami? I do, sadly, because I just think
okay.
like the thing with Tua is he's a ticking time bomb. He's one concussion away, I feel like, from, having to forcibly retire. And that is something like that I don't, say extremely light with anyone.
Yeah,
Um, I just think that he always gets hurt. Last year, like when he slid, I think it was that Thursday night football game, Ben. I don't even remember, but he slid, or no, he took a hard hit when he didn't have to. He could have slid, but then he decided to take a hard hit, and then he got a concussion, and then his hands were all like in the wrong places. So I think with the Dolphins, I think that they're gonna have a bad season. I think that they're gonna go into a complete organizational reset. And I think McDaniels is gone. I think that the new coach will want a new quarterback and will want their own quarterback. And I just think like maybe a new change of scenery will really benefit Tua. So yeah, for to James's question, yeah, I'm gonna say yeah, I think it's Tua's last season, sadly, in Miami.
I'm gonna go no. I just think that the contract is they still have the contract pretty much there, and it's not a lock that Mike McDaniels even gets fired. Honestly, I think that Chris Greer, if you guys know Chris Greer, I think that he's kind of susceptible to change. I think that he's kind of like it's kind of what it is there, and I don't think that either one is, to be honest, done. After the season, I think that they're gonna kind of keep rolling this, and they're kind of with Miami and Pittsburgh, Isaiah, they're two teams that just kind of are honestly fine with the average. I think definitely with the Miami Dolphins, they're legitimately the average of average, if you ask me. So yeah, I think that's kind of it.
Right. And then James says his last comment is, "Oh yay, Kenny Pickett to my Raiders, throw the parade now."
I
I
mean,
mean,
James,
Ben,
it could be better than Gardner Minshew. I remember you had Gardner Minshew and Gino. Well, you got Gino coming in, right? So listen, Kenny Pickett, it can't be awful. It really can't. I mean, you could have Sam Darnold, you could have Mac Jones, you could have
Zach
Jamar
Wilson,
Russell, you could have Zach Wilson, you could have Christian Hackenberg. I mean, we could keep on going here. Brian
Drew Lock,
Hoyer,
being Zappy.
True Law, yeah, Bailey Zappi. Oh God. Oh man.
I feel bad for James though because like the Raiders seemingly like gets all the players that he hates. Like I don't understand why they do this. Like it makes no sense whatsoever. Um, they just get all the players that that James doesn't like. I mean, they got Jamal Adams, Ben. After James was like, if Jamal Adams went to the Raiders, like he will disown the Raiders, and they ended up getting him. So just wow, oh my god! You know what would be extremely hilarious is if they got Shador Sanders, if they traded for Shador.
They get all the guys, the druggies, the other guys that are in trouble, uh, everything in between. That's really it.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, let's get into the sleeper players, shall we?
Yep.
And that would be our last segment for the show. But yeah, let's get into our the sleeper players. I know we did this for baseball as well, which is like one sleeper player to watch, or you can do a couple to watch in the division that not a lot of people are talking about or hyping up.
Yep.
Um, Ben, I'll go to you first on this. I think this is a very like we there's a lot of players to pick from. But yeah, who are your some sleeper players that you're watching in this AFC East?
Okay, so for the Patriots, I'm gonna go with Kyle Williams, receiver. I think that this kid is very dynamic. He is quick. There's a lot of good reports out of training camp. He's fast. And I think he's going to blossom into the scene. I think he's going to be really fun to watch. Mason Taylor from the Jets. I know I'm not a big fan of the Jets and their offense, but I think this kid's going to be really good for them. And I think the Jets are going to use him a lot. Um, and then, oh man, let me think here. You know what? Give me Nick Folk, veteran kicker for the New York Jets. That is one of my sleepers. Because you know why? Because the Jets aren't going to be scoring a lot of touchdowns this year. They're going to be banking on a lot of their running game and kicking the football and settling for field goals. And no other better kicker to have out there than is Nick Folk, a former Jet who's coming back. So, Jet fans out there, your best friend this year is your kicker and your defense. So that is one of them. Let me get one for either the Miami Dolphins or the Bills. Oh man, let me see what the Dolphins are rocking here. Man,
Ben, I'll tell you this. I never
they
thought
got
that we
wait,
would have
wait,
a
whoa.
yeah.
I okay, yeah, Miami is. If you're banking on Darren Waller to be your tight end number one, the dude barely has been playing back in this league. And you're banking. I just looked at their. Yeah. Yeah, this is going to be a long season for them. I thought Darren Waller was like their tight end number 2 or 3. He is their tight end number 1. Darren Waller. Are you kidding me? How old is this guy? This guy hasn't played since the Giants in 2023. He had 1 touchdown.
I thought he retired, to be honest with you.
He's back. He's tight end number 1 of the Miami Dolphins.
Is Mike still on that
They
team?
had Jonnu Smith, and he did well for them. And why would they get rid of him?
Isn't he back on the team though? Because I think he got traded, right? Or did he get traded to Pittsburgh? Oh my gosh.
That's a fleece draft for Pittsburgh. Tell you that.
Speaking of which, they also got Minka Fitzpatrick back for the Dolphins.
You know what? Fuck it. My sleeper for the Dolphins.
No way.
Matt Judon, former Patriot. There's not really much I can say. I mean, for them, but definitely, like all serious. No, I do think that Kyle Williams and Mason Taylor are 2 guys to really watch out for. As guys to watch out.
No, hey Ben, I love the kicker pick. I love the kicker
put that in.
Oh my gosh! Like I never thought in our that when I thought about doing this that for the sleeper players to watch that we would have a kicker mentioned on the show. I freaking love it, dude. Like that's a great pick. But yeah, in all seriousness about the picks for me. like Mason Taylor is gonna be one of my sleepers. Like I've been really high on this kid ever since he got drafted. I really wanted him on
Yeah,
the Niners. Like he's a really good tight end. I honestly think he is gonna be what Brock Bowers was for the Raiders last year. Like he's a guy that can catch. He's a guy that's a really good blocker as well. He like I said earlier, he's the son of Jason Taylor, the legendary NFL tight end, or I mean defensive tackle. And you know what, the Jets, like they're not going to have a lot of weapons, Ben. So they're going to run the football, which is going to be, which you're going to need Mason Taylor to block, and also like if you look at their pass catchers, who do you have besides Garrett Wilson that can help or that can scare the defense? Mason
yeah,
Taylor is going to be that second guy. So. And Justin Fields, I read a stat somewhere he loves to throw to tight ends.
he
So I
does.
really, yeah. So I think that Mason Taylor is going to have a big year. I think he's going to be one of those players that is in line for offensive rookie of the year. I think he's going to be that good for the Jets. So if you have fantasy, pick him because he's going to be,
They,
yeah,
I do
pick him
think
for your
with
bench.
them running a lot too, I think that's going to open up the play action. And,
Yeah,
you know, Fields is a guy, I mean, if there's any good element of his passing game, he does fairly well in the vertical game. So anything that's kind of in the streaks or anything that's in like the deep posts and stuff like that, I kind of worry about with Fields when it comes to his over accuracy, the stuff on the outside numbers. And that's essentially kind of where, you're from kind of a middling quarterback, kind of average quarterback. And then you have guys like Allen. You have guys like, Burrow. Guys like Jackson that could pretty much, you could say, make all the throws, right? Fields does not
yeah.
make all the throws. He's basically kind of that secondary where you can kind of see it, maybe a couple screen passes, obviously the vertical stuff and maybe some play action. But it's very limited, and you just don't really know every single week what kind of quarterback you get with him.
Yeah, for sure. And I think for my second player, I'm gonna go defense actually. I'm gonna go with Harold Landry, the guy that you guys got
Okay.
from the
Nice.
Tennessee Titans.
Yep.
Yeah, he fits Mike Vrabel's system. He's a veteran in this league. He's done a lot of big things in the NFL. So I think he's gonna have a big year. He was pissed actually when the Titans cut him. And so I think he's gonna be out for revenge and out for vengeance and out to prove that he's not washed. So I think he's going to have a big year for the New England Patriots, and I think he's going to be a big reason why I think the Patriots take that next step and make the playoffs. So I'm going to go Harold Landry, and also I'm going to go with Mason Taylor, but also I mean Ben, if we had to go with a kicker, how about Andy Borgals from your Patriots? Like I think he's
I don't
going to
really know
be.
much about him. That's like the only guy I really know. I'm not gonna lie, that's really the only guy on my team I really don't know much about is the kicker. So I'm crossing my fingers and hoping that the kicker is gonna be good for us.
No, you're hoping the kicker doesn't have to come out for you guys because you guys will be scoring a lot of touchdowns. That's
Well, I mean, making extra
yeah.
points. I mean,
Oh, that's
we had
true.
Chad Brown a couple years ago that couldn't even make the extra points. So let's at least get the extra points because if we're going to be in close games, which I imagine most of our games are going to be in, we got to just make the extra point. It's called an extra point. If you're the kicker out there, that's your job. It's like when you're at the free throw line in basketball, it's a free throw. That's pretty much how they say it. You got to make them when you can make them.
Definitely. And well, I have a kicker that my team has a kicker that is very like crappy when it comes to extra points. So
Well, his
we'll
last name is Moody. He puts the Niner fans in a bad mood or in a good mood. It pretty much itself is named for itself.
That's right. That's right. He puts us in a really bad mood for sure. But what a great start to this 8 divisions and 8 days series. Ben, thank you so much for joining me
Of
tonight
course.
on this first episode of this series. I guess it's time for some final thoughts. So, Ben, do you have any final thoughts and like some announcements for future shows on this
Yeah.
network or the other networks that you're a part of that you have?
Yeah. So obviously on my other network, on ATB Network, make sure to follow us over there. We are going to have our fantasy football draft on Thursday night on playback. Make sure to subscribe, like, and comment over there. That is, I believe, going to be at 7 p.m. Eastern time. So make sure to come over there. We are going to pretty much do our live reaction from all the picks that we have over there. And then, of course, a lot of other fun stuff ahead. We have our AFC and our NFC preview over for that show as well, too, with all our people over there on the roundtable. And, of course, here I would like to kind of get myself back, especially coming up, kicking with Cruz. It's pretty much been kind of a show where I've really done a lot of this stuff, but then I've kind of taken a massive hiatus for the last couple months, and I really want to kind of get myself kind of back into it. And especially now with postseason baseball, we're going to be coming up pretty soon. And, you got the start of college football, you got the start of NFL. So definitely a big, content time where I feel like I can kind of get back and be able to kind of do that. And so, keep posted for that. But besides make sure to follow us here, give us the thumbs up. And, really, we appreciate all your support for all the stuff that we do.
Yeah, very well said. And speaking of announcements, we are going to, since it is football season, the Extra Point is coming back. We're going to be doing it every Mondays after Monday Night Football. I know myself, James, and others, and Ben, and other members of us are going to be on that show. So make sure you guys tune in. It's going to be a fun program. In terms of this series with the 8 divisions in 8 days, I think we're going to take a break from it tomorrow because we have our college football. We're try to do a college football preview special tomorrow night. Since the college football season is in a few days. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We're going to be doing all the predictions for all the conferences and how Bill Belichick is going to do at North freaking Carolina, which is still crazy to say, and the playoffs and everything. So make sure you guys tune in for that. But we are going to resume on Wednesday night, and I think we're going to do a double day where we're going to do 2 divisions that day. So make sure you guys tune in for that. We haven't decided on the divisions yet, but we'll let you guys know and keep you guys posted. But yeah, Ben, do you have any other final thoughts you want to add for tonight?
Go Sox.
Good final thought. Yeah, great show, guys. Appreciate everybody for tuning in on our AFC East prediction special. We'll see you guys on Wednesday night for 2 divisions this time. We'll let you guys know the divisions, but we'll be doing 2 divisions for double day on Wednesday. But until then, guys, stay safe, stay healthy, and we will see you guys next time here on 8 divisions in 8 days. Have a good night, everybody.